Well, we finally had Sony unveil their Spartacus service, which for the most part is just PlayStation Plus being merged in with PlayStation Now with some additional benefits. I'm going to be going into it very extensively tomorrow morning in Newswave. We also have a major delay from Nintendo, so there's a lot to get into tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you check that out. But we did have some follow-up interviews, specifically with Jim Ryan, where he went more in depth with kind of the mentality and the strategy that Sony has right now when it comes to these big day one releases heading into a subscription service. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the SpawnWave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So the most interesting part around this generation with Microsoft and Sony, I think, is seeing how this is going to play out with two completely different strategies here. Microsoft dropping these day one releases from even places like Bethesda with Starfield into their Game Pass Ultimate service, and Sony being a bit more careful when it comes to these big budget projects and these massive games they're releasing. But we can see this posted up over on gamesindustry.biz. Or he says, we feel like we are in a good virtuous cycle with the studios, essentially high standards with the studios and the games that are coming out, where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment, which delivers yet more success. We like that cycle, and we think our gamers like that cycle. In terms of putting our own games into the service or any of our services upon their release, as you well know, this is not a road we've gone down in the past, and it's not a road that we're going to go down with this new service. We feel if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, the virtuous cycle will be broken. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible, and we think the knock-on effect on the quality of the games that we make would not be something that gamers want. So the idea, yes, is, hey, if we start putting these big budget games that, I mean, we're talking 100, 150, $200 million potentially when it's all said and done from start to finish with marketing into these subscription services, and it's like $120 a year, so it's like $10 a month, it wouldn't be sustainable for them and what they are trying to do right now, which isn't surprising. That's kind of what we all assumed with Sony this whole time as Microsoft's making this big Game Pass push, that they would be a bit more cautious when it comes to dropping these games in there, considering they're seeing success on the sales side with some of these titles, right? We hear about like Horizon Zero Dawn selling 20 million copies. And yes, it's been heavily discounted. They've given it away at times, but still 20 million copies. That's a lot to sell and then go, oh, now we're just going to drop it into a subscription service that's like $10 a month. Then obviously the other part of this is Microsoft can stand to lose money basically indefinitely with their Xbox division with something like Game Pass if they feel that in the future it will become profitable at some point. That's the idea. And there's still a lot of talk back and forth. Is Game Pass actually profitable? And we've seen Phil Spencer say, well, it's sustainable at this point. So as they are looking now 20 years into the future, yeah, there probably will come a time where if Microsoft continues to accrue Game Pass subscribers that are paying full price, they could have 100, 150 million, 200 million signups. And I mean, at that point, we all probably assume that it is making them money with the amount of revenue they'd be bringing in every single month from $15 per person. But Sony's successful now just doing the standard model of making a good game and then selling it, much like Nintendo. Nintendo has been wildly successful with this, as we've seen so far, since the amount of profit that they take in, while their overall like revenue, gross revenue, not as high as Sony when it comes to PlayStation. I mean, their profit is higher currently. Now, Sony did just also launch a system, so we'll see when all of that gets caught up, but Sony seems to be in a pretty good spot right now with the titles that are coming out and the sales that they're receiving afterwards. And as I've said in the past, Jim Ryan is a numbers guy, but he also understands that gaming landscape just changes fast and wildly at times. When you take a look at this, the way the world is changing so very quickly at the moment, nothing is forever. Who would have said even 4 years ago that you would see AAA PlayStation IP being published on PC? We started that last year with Horizon Zero Dawn, then Days Gone, and now God of War. Hugely polished and accomplished PC version of that game. Had great critical success and great commercial success, and everybody has made their peace with that happening and is completely at ease with it. I look back 4 years and think nobody would have seen that coming. I mean, he's kind of right. If we went back 4 years ago, so I've been like 2018, right? Started 2018, and I was like, hey, that big God of War game that's coming out, that's it's going to be on PC in a couple of years. You would have thought I was crazy, but here we are with a lot of Sony's titles, even like Uncharted, and say Horizon, Days Gone, all going to PC, and I have a feeling many, many more are going to be following, and I do believe at least one of these live services will make the jump day one. So we'll have a PS5 release and a PC release at the same time. But he goes on to say, I don't want to cast anything in stone at this stage. All I'm talking to today is the approach we're taking in the short term. The way our publishing model works right now, it doesn't make any sense, but things can change very quickly in this industry, as we all know. So if we get to a point throughout this generation where Microsoft does actually accrue 150 million subscribers to Game Pass Ultimate, Sony probably will consider pivoting if they are also able to build up their own subscription model. Like, let's say this PlayStation Plus thing they have going on right now with the different tiers starts to rack up more and more subscribers, and they get to 100 million subscribers, and they look around and realize, oh, this might be viable to hold up some of these games that we are releasing, especially if they're not even putting day one releases in there yet. When Microsoft drops a big release like a Forza or a Halo, yes, that was more campaign, or Starfield coming up this holiday, we expect to see a spike in signups. And if Microsoft gets to a point where they're actually releasing game after game after game with all these studios they have now, and that should include Activision and Blizzard here in the near future, then yeah, you would probably see those signups really start to take off. And Sony might be able to do it on their own without having to do these day one releases, just with the back catalog games that go in slowly over time, with Returnal going in a year after it's come out. I mean, we could see maybe a year delay for some of these big titles going into their PlayStation Premier tier, or the premium tier. And that, of course, would allow them to still get day one sales, or even for the first year, and then have people sign up for the service when they see one of these big titles show up. So to me, this is just Jim Ryan saying they're hedging their bets when it comes to the subscription services. They had PlayStation Now that they barely paid attention to. They had PlayStation Plus that was like 50 million subscribers. They're consolidating and preparing for a potential subscription future, but right now they prefer the idea of just making a good game and selling it, which, by the way, still works pretty well. We see Nintendo doing it, Sony's doing it, and oh yeah, Elden Ring just randomly shows up and is like, yeah, we'll go ahead and sell 12 million copies in a month or two. No problem. But let me know what you guys think about this and where you believe the future is going, especially through this generation, which is, I think, where we're going to see it all decided by the end of the PS5 and the Xbox Series, and we're talking about the PS6 and what's next for Microsoft. I think we'll have an idea as to how viable an all-subscription future is with these game releases. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.